This is a story I've told before. In fact, I told it a year ago today. But back then, I told it over algorithm bait, and truthfully, I didn't do it justice. I didn't give it the weight it deserved. In order to rectify that mistake, I wanted to use a medium that seemed a bit more appropriate. So now, let me tell you a story. I was making my way up a steep incline, climbing towards a ridge, when I struck up a conversation with a man beside me, mostly as an excuse to catch my breath. We were only a third of the way up on this incline when he half joked about how he packed a few too many lenses, making this hike way harder than it needed to be. We both laughed, knowing we still had a long way to go. After exchanging a few words, we wished each other good luck, and I pushed towards the top. Eventually, the path forked. One led to another brutal incline towards a viewpoint. The other was a rough scramble that followed the ridge. I chose the ridge. I stayed up there for about an hour, took in the views, drank my coffee, ate my snacks. And once I had a bit more energy, I made my way towards the other side, ready to tackle one more climb. As I reached the summit, the view opened up. There was a small landing, wide, unobstructed, overlooking the lake and the valley below. Of course, there was a small line to take a photo, and standing in that line was the same man I saw from earlier. We laughed and congratulated each other for making it. The view was really worth the effort. As we waited in line, we got to talking about cameras, and I asked him whether it was worth getting a real one or just relying on my phone. He looked at me and said, a camera is always worth it. And then I asked him something I'd always wondered. After all these years of hiking and photographing the landscapes, how do you know when to capture the moment and just when to live in it? He paused, thought about it, and said, I don't know if I can give you a proper answer, but let me tell you something my dad told me. We all have a start and end date. The day we were born and the day we die. On a gravestone, those are just two numbers. But between those two numbers, there's a hyphen. Right now, we're living in that hyphen. I may not know the answer to your question, but the older I get, the more I realize I won't be able to do these kinds of trips forever. But I can take these photos to remind me of the life I lived. I can look back and know I made the most out of my hyphen. Because at the end of it all, that's just what we're reduced to. One hyphen. But is yours worth telling? We paused, and I took it in. And then it was his turn for the photos. Before he left, we shook hands, and then he made his way down the mountain. I never got his name, never knew where he came from. We were just two strangers at the same place at the same time. But that conversation stayed with me. It's lived in my head rent-free ever since. So now I ask you, is your hyphen worth telling? So, I just finished editing this video, and the message hit me all over again. Honestly, for me, My videos have felt a little aimless throughout the summer. I've been trying not to stress out about how they'll do on Instagram or TikTok, and trying really hard not to blame the algorithm, but as I sit here, I realize something. The direction I want to take these videos is not about chasing clout or views or outsmarting the feed. I want it to be an archive of all my adventures. Something I can look back on when I'm older and relive the moments that made me feel alive. So, if you want to follow along, you are more than welcome to. But, to the older version of me that's watching this, I want to tell you, I hope you lived with enough courage that when you looked back, the only thing you feel is gratitude for how far you dared to go.